Welcome to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, where we talk all things good food, good business, and good cars. And now, here is your host, Arnold Garcia, founder and CEO of Petra Automotive Products. Let's roll.
So we're here with Jim. Jim, last night I saw your title. What was the name on your...
Car Curator.
Car Curator, yeah. So this is the guys in the show is behind the scenes. But tell us a little bit about this car that you said was the Jim.
Yeah, so this is the crown jewel of our collection. This is a 1953 Cunningham. Briggs Cunningham that owned the company. Briggs was an established race car driver. He also raced 6-meter, 12-meter yachts. Was very successful. And he decided he wanted to build and race his own cars over Le Mans and Sebring. He was very successful. He took 2 class wins in Le Mans and 3 class wins in Sebring with his cars.
Wow.
This is one of 25 street cars that he had to build per the F1A regulations at the time. We've had this car since 1982. It's been restored several times. I've driven this car. It's a very powerful car for its age.
What is the power plant?
The original power plant was a 331 cubic inch Chevy engine with 4 two-barrel carburetors.
Wow. Man, for that time, that's pretty good.
Yeah. The engine's been replaced in this car several times by each owner, and it has a later model heavy engine with a 4-speed 4-barrel carburetor.
Now, you said that as far as convertible, this is one of 5?
Only 5 convertibles out of the 25 that he made.
Okay, so 25 in total, 5 of those were convertible. You have one of the 5.
That's correct.
That's huge.
Wow.
Yes.
It's great, man.
So the car has an estimated value of about $900,000.
Wow.
One just sold a couple weeks ago in Monterey for, it was a coupe, which is less rare than a convertible, for $940,000.
Wow.
So I'm sure this will bring pretty close to that kind of.
Did you bring your checkbook?
No.
Oh, okay. Thought you were. Well, I guess we're going to leave it here today.
Thought you were buying it.
Where's Kathy when we need her?
Exactly. All right, now we're going into the dungeon now, behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes of catering.
Catering, yes.
What balance? Let me say, let's BWE.
Thank you, sir. You wouldn't even know this is back out here, would you? Rob's in his office, hanging out. There's that smell right there. That old car smell. I love it.
Love the old gasoline.
Exactly. Love that old car smell. Oil and gasoline.
I love the smell of this place.
Yeah. It's the old car.
That's why my office is here. Okay, so this is
Jim always leaves happy.
And a little
So this is our 10-bay garage. We do mechanical, electrical restorations here. We don't do any paint or body work because of the regulations for runoff of water and stuff like that. So if we have to send something out to be painted, we use one of our local paint shops that's been approved by us or by me.
Okay.
Like I said, we do mechanical, electrical restorations. We also use it for storage because we have more cars than space, and I rotate the cars on a routine basis. Most of all the cars you see here, and almost all the ones in the museum are all running cars. The only one that's like this is one car that does not run, the truck. This is the 1928 hunting buggy. It's a local car by a local judge. Judge Dyer used this car to go hunting in the Everglades. And he would put his dogs in the back, and he had seats on top, and he'd go bouncing around the Everglades.
That's great.
Going hunting. Was donated to us about a year and a half ago.
Part of the history.
water tanks, fuel, dogs in the back, hunting dogs in the back.
Yep.
It's basically like a hunting blind on wheels.
Jim, these were the good old days.
Yes, they were.
They were the good old days. Jim, what did you do before this?
I started my career in the United States Navy on nuclear submarines, and I spent 10 years in the Navy, and then I went to work for Florida Power at their nuclear plant down in Florida City.
Wow. So you're always in the nuclear.
Yeah, I'm in the nuclear world.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
This might be my favorite car here.
This is one of my favorite cars too. This is a 1941 Lincoln Continental convertible.
That grill.
This was
One of 400 made?
one of 400 made. Yes, this was a very expensive car in 1941. Cost $3,000.
Is this the original color, Jim?
Yes.
What do you think this goes for?
Oh, you could probably sell this. I haven't looked recently, but then probably in the $60,000 to $75,000 range.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at the colors. The colors back then were just not like you see.
But listen, this car, this grill, this look is so beautiful.
This is a sexy car.
I mean, it
This
is
is
sexy for real.
You think that's sexy? Wait till you see the engine compartment.
Uh-oh. Look at that.
So the story behind this model is Edsel Ford had a prototype of this car made in the late 1930s, and he had it shipped to his winter home in Florida. And the car was such a hit with his neighbors and friends, he put the car into production. This is what the production car looks like. So that's a flathead V12, which is a rare engine because Edsel wanted to compete with Cadillac, Pierce Arrow,
Right.
and Packard. So upgrade the motor instead of a flathead V8, but a flathead V12 in it, 292 cubic inches.
And is that a single barrel carburetor on there?
It's a small 2-barrel carburetor, which leads to many problems when you're driving it.
I'm sure it does.
It runs very hot.
Yeah. With 12 cylinders, it's very lean, right? It's got to be very lean.
It really needs multiple carburations,
Yep.
carburetor front and rear to make it run more stable. It also has some unique features that you don't see in cars back then. That, like nowadays, cars have push-button electric doors. This car has push-button mechanical doors.
That's awesome, right?
So you got a button you push on the inside and a button to push to get it in and outside. So it's got push-button doors. It has a steering lock when you take the key out of the ignition. Way back in 1941, that was unheard of. And the most unique feature of this car is that the starting procedure. Normally, you'd start the car, you put the key in, turn it to the right or turn it to the left. If you try that with this car, it won't start. So you have to put the key in, turn the key 180 degrees to the left, and then pull the key and the ignition switch out towards you about half an inch. And that'll connect the battery to the starting.
So that last bit is what makes the power connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love the way they did the colors, right? I mean, first of all, you wouldn't expect green on green, but it works.
Yeah.
And then the contrasting maroon dash is just
With the gold
it's almost like a wood. That's a wood grain almost that they've.
No, that's actually
Is that actually wood?
Yes.
Oh wow. Is that a trunk or a rumble seat?
trunk. This is our 1957 Chevy Bel Air convertible with full Continental kit. The other one of my favorite cars. We use this car
Parade car, right?
for parades, special occasions, weddings. The Lincoln we use a lot for weddings. It gets a lot of requests to bring the car to a wedding for pictures. So it does get used quite a bit. The 57 gets used in parades.
Is there a 283 in this, or is
It's got a 283 power pack, but a 2-speed power glide transmission. The color of the paint's called Dusk Rose. It's a favorite among the ladies. Of all the cars that we have that we drive, this one probably gets driven the most.
really? Well, that power glide transmission may have been one of the best transmissions that General Motors ever designed. You know,
Jim, whose idea was to put
they used this forever, and it was bulletproof.
Oh, the dice were giving me, and I put
Yeah, I mean, it just gives it that little, like, parade look.
There it is.
We've done a lot of work to this car this year. We had to do some major repairs. We had to get the transmission rebuilt, front and rear brakes, master cylinder, mufflers. What else did we do to it? So we put some resources in it because we like to keep it in tip-top condition because it gets used quite a bit.
Such a great engine.
Yeah.
They just go forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Now, were these lights at later or at one point, or they were always like this?
They're always with the bumpers.
Yeah.
The design of these bullets is based on the jet airplanes.
This is the last year for the fins, right?
Yes.
57 was the last year of the fins.
Hey, we're here at the Elliott Museum filming a bunch of episodes for you guys. If you like the upcoming episodes or any of our episodes, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, like, comment, share. We need you to be part of the team. Thank you.
This car right here.
Yeah, you're going to like this one.
Oh, I love this car. It's from Connecticut?
This is our 1943 Stuts. It's in here just for storage. This is a running and driving car. We recently restored the fuel system, carburetor, fuel tank, fuel lines. Put new tubes in the tires, did some work on the right front hub, and we'll end up back in the museum here once we...
Look at that engine.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
This model was made after the Stuts Bearcat. The Bearcat was a famous model made earlier, like in the 1914, 15, 16 time range. They had a 4-cylinder engine in it, and it was a very powerful car, fast car for its time. This car is even faster with the 6-cylinder engine. This car is capable of probably 80 to 90 miles.
What year was this, Ken?
1943.
Okay. And the Bearcat came out what year?
I think around 1912
Okay.
for a couple of years.
That's beautiful. And that engine just looks special.
I was just you mentioned Connecticut and the Stuts Bearcat. I watched an episode of Chasing Classic Cars or something with Wayne Carini, and he's a Bearcat guy, right? He's got like 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, beautiful cars. They're his thing. Apparently,
So talking about startup, how would you start this one up?
Would you start it up?
Yeah. No, how would you start it up? How would you?
For what you? Well,
Their sequence.
Start it
sequence
up.
would be
Fire it up.
put the key in the ignition, turn the ignition on, and now you have these 2 knobs here. These are very almost all the cars at this time period had manual control of the timing. The Model A's, Model T's all had the same setup, and this is your throttle control here for like a cruise control.
Mm-hmm.
So you would turn the key on, you prime it. There's a primer here. You would prime the carburetor. You would adjust the timing all the way up to fully advanced, and then there's a pedal.
Yep, I see it.
That's your starting pedal. That engages the starter. So you have to press that, and that'll start the car. And then once the car starts, you bring the timing back down halfway. And then once the car is warmed up and on the road, then you will
Adjust as you
adjust the timing as needed.
It's like a Christmas engine.
Look at this.
This is a police car?
It was, well, Mr. Donnelly had it restored as a police car. In the actuality, police cars wouldn't be used and convertibles wouldn't be used. So these 2 vehicles are part of the 55 vehicles that were donated to the museum in 2012 by the Donnelly family. Mr. Donnelly was an avid collector of 1930 and 31 Ford Model A's and trucks. I'm not sure why he liked those 2 years, but he had 55 of them. Wow. And he donated them all to the Elliott Museum at that time. We still have a large percentage of those. I'm not sure exactly how many we have of the 55. We have probably close to 45 or 50 because we sold the duplicates. And then, and he restored most of them. Some are unrestored. If you look in our boomerang system, we have a couple unrestored Model A's, mail truck. And all these, the fire truck, the Model A, that's a Phaeton. Phaeton indicates that it has a convertible top and no windows. Well, it has the windshield. No.
Very nice.
Now I'll show you how this thing starts up.
All right.
Quick. Here. So the first thing we got to do, almost all our cars, we put a battery disconnect switch in.
Yeah.
To keep the batteries isolated when you're not going to. So you can turn the battery on, put the timing up, turn the key on. We also put shut-off valves for gas.
Okay.
We turn the gas on. Sometimes they're under the dash here, and sometimes they're in the engine compartment. It all depends on how we install it. The gas tank's right in front of me, and it's gravity fed. So now we choke it, cut the clutch in, and hit the starter. And
Amazing, right?
tiny and proud. Headlight.
So where's the throttle again?
The throttle's in here, but you can adjust slight cruise control.
Right.
Keep it lower or raise it.
So that sets your idle, basically.
Yes, that's right.
That's your idle speed.
Yes.
Got it.
This is your time
Right.
for starting ready.
That was great.
Isn't that great?
Down.
And how fast it started, really.
It's just great.
Oh, this goes to 45 miles an hour. All day long.
So great.
It's nice.
His headlights just, right? I know, I thought, I have battery, I have a couple of cars that I have, and I've got battery disconnects on them, but I never put a fuel disconnect on. That's a good idea, right?
Well, it depends on how long your car sits.
Some of them sit for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I never thought of that. Easy enough to do.
Yeah,
So this is for the radiator, right?
that's correct.
And then the gas is right there.
Yep, that's rated. This is a AA chassis 1930 fire truck. There's to be the AA and the A. They both have the same engines. The difference is the AA Ford truck has a 4-speed transmission. This is a 1923 Nero car motorcycle.
Okay.
Nero car motorcycles were made in Syracuse, New York.
Really?
And also they cut a deal with in England. They were also made in England.
Okay.
This happens to be an English model. As you can see, it's got a little front license plate attachment on the front wheels. The neat thing about this motorcycle, it's got kingpin steering like a car.
I see that.
Okay.
I see that.
Yep.
That's crazy.
You know, most motorcycles, you see most of them, they have the down tubes going down
Yep.
with a triple clamp. This actually had a kingpin steering like a car, hence the name Nero car. The company owner wanted to promote the cars promote the motorcycles almost like a car. That's how the name was derived.
So I see a sprocket on the rear and a sprocket on the front.
Yeah,
Does it
sprocket
ride both
on the-
wheels?
No, it's rear-wheel drive. The sprocket on the front was for a speedometer. It's a
Wow.
285cc, 2-cycle motor, 5-speed transmission. My volunteer that's working on this, he's actually driven this before we took it out of service. And the bike rides very well, very smooth,
Unbelievably low to the ground. Very low to the ground.
very low on the ground. And it was very popular with the nurses and the clergy because you could ride this and not get dirty or wet because
Right, because of the big fender. Right. Is this the brake?
That's the brake. This is the throttle up here, and the clutch is a twist grip here.
And this is the
Gear shift.
gear shift.
It's got a starter here. Lights.
This thing would be a blast to drive.
Yeah. The seat's perfect, too. I like the seat.
There you go.
This is our 1905 Oldsmobile, curved dash Oldsmobile. That's where I get the same. This is a running and driving vehicle. Probably only a few of these that actually run in the United States was of its age. Single cylinder, 7.5 horsepower, do 20 miles an hour.
And it's on the right side, right?
Is that?
This?
Yeah, that's the gas, 2 brakes.
These are these are gas lanterns. Kerosene.
Kerosene, oil.
Kerosene.
Yeah.
Oil lanterns.
Now they're
That's what you use for the headlights. Not
Yep.
they weren't electric.
Yeah. So you can actually take them off when you get to where you're going into the house, because you didn't have
Spin it off here. You carry it around with you, so you got a light going to your house. Crazy, right?
Good thinking.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, they didn't.
So we just had
They didn't have electricity on, a lot of electricity on these things. I mean, they're crank start. And,
No, but good thinking of the fact that you made this in a way that you take it into the house. And, you know.
So we just had this out for our in the Veteran Days parade last Saturday. So it runs good. When I started here, this was not running. My volunteer associated with it, he works endlessly to keep this thing in running condition. I'm really lucky to have the people that can do that.
is that like a belt? Is that a belt drum brake back there?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's the engine.
I want to go out, dude. I want to be in a parade just to do that.
Well, this car was made from 1902 to 1912. In 1905, the board of directors for Oldmobile kicked him out of the company. And that same year, he put together another company called REO. You've heard of REO Speedwagon?
Yep.
So REO stands for Ransom Elliott Oldsmobile. They started his company. Oldsmobile, name went on for a couple years. Then they were shut down, and then they were purchased by General Motors at a later time. They directed the name.
That big old chain drive.
Yeah. All wood body with a steel frame.
Very, very cool.
Well, Jim,
That's a tour.
that's a great tour.
That is a fantastic
What is
tour.
your all-time favorite car?
My all-time favorite car?
Here in the museum?
Oh, the museum?
Yeah.
Just say my car.
No.
All-time favorite? Okay.
Yeah, all-time favorite.
All right.
Not museum, your all-time favorite.
Anything.
Personal car?
Anything.
Oh, McLaren.
McLaren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
720S.
That's your favorite of all time?
Yeah.
Now, favorite car in the museum?
The Cunningham.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a nice car.
That's a beautiful car.
It is a beautiful car. It is a sexy car for
Yeah.
sure. It is. How long have you been here?
I've been the Car Curator for 3 years, and before that I was a volunteer for 4 years.
Fabulous. So what's your favorite car so far you've seen?
Here? Well,
Besides this one that makes that sound that you like.
well, I like this for sure. The horn. No, I like the
The Cunningham?
yeah. I mean, of all the cars I've seen, that's probably my favorite. It's got a cut. It's sexy. It's beautiful.
I like it.
I would
love
go.
that
I would
car,
go
but
buy
I
it.
want to tell you something. My favorite car, you're going to be not shocked because I'm an old muscle car guy, but that Yanko Nova is just, that's the one I want to drive.
Yeah.
That's a car. Man, I love that car.
Everybody really good.
I bet you it does.
This
I bet you it does. They were just,
had that last spring. Was one of the first.
yeah, there was a, what was it, last year or 2 years ago, there was a real, not a clone, a real Yanko Camaro that sold at Barrett Jackson for $1 million.
Yeah. Because there's money for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
we're getting money for the replicas.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a replica.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's still just a wonderful car.
Let's bring in the assistant. Is it assistant director?
Come on.
Director of
Director of
engagement.
engagement.
And your name is
Come on, Debbie.
Debbie.
So, Debbie, what's your favorite car?
The 41 million.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful car. You guys do a wonderful job here. You really do. I mean, we came down for this event, but it seems like you could do a whole series of podcasts here just looking at cars, right?
For sure. And if you're a car guy, and I know the museum is more than just cars, but if you're a car guy, what a phenomenal museum. And I think everybody that walks in this place, I told this to Rob, are shocked, right, of what they find inside. I think there's no doubt. Everybody that I've talked to is like, man, I'm shocked of what happens inside. And the people that work here and the volunteers are unbelievable. You guys have done
You
fantastic.
just have a love of the past.
Yeah.
And it's
really
not
good.
just about cars. I mean, if you're coming down, you got to go. Have you been upstairs yet?
Yeah.
You got to go upstairs.
I haven't 2 days and I haven't finished.
I know. There's some stuff upstairs that's spectacular. I mean,
We
there's
have
just a
the
lot of history.
second largest collection of signed baseball memorabilia outside of Cooperstown, New York. And
Really?
we have a very significant collection of like local history and Florida history. We have an exhibit that was featured on Expedition Unknown about the Ashley Newton bank robbers. They were the Bonnie and Clyde of the Treasure Post, and they successfully robbed 41 banks.
Wow.
And they have a really interesting story. We also feature a lot of art and history, and we have changing exhibits. And in January, we are welcoming a brand new King Tut exhibit, direct from Egypt. And the Elliott Museum is the first place in the United States where it's going to be on exhibit. So
Fantastic.
really crowded, excited. Last year, we had a beautiful selection of Norman Rockwell and his mentor, J.C. Decker, that was on the exhibit. So we've got some, we always have something fun and different. We always start to bit.
How many volunteers?
So we have about between 80 and 100, depending on the time of year. And our volunteers really keep this place going and happy.
They love it.
And you must have some special guys that work in this shop for you, right? Yeah. Because there's a lot of parts on these things that you can't buy, right? So you got.
That's correct. Well, believe it or not, like the Model A's and Model C's, you can get all the parts.
Can you?
From the mail order. There's a lot of aftermarket companies. Finding parts for this is, you have to make them.
Yeah. I would imagine you got to make parts for that bike too, yeah?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. The parts, in fact, a lot of parts were made for.
You got to have some machinists. You got to have some, yeah.
Russ is our machinist. He's a volunteer here. He's just fabulous machining. He machined the valve for this. So, yeah, without him, this thing wouldn't be run.
Yep. Fantastic. Does he?
This is neat.
I'm thinking I'm going to move to Stuart, Florida when I retire and come in.
Yeah, well, they say, I
You know
told
me
this
and
to
my
Rob,
cars,
they all
right?
say,
So I'm
right?
like-
Everybody ends up in Florida.
You know me and my cars, so I come down here and work on some cars on the weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, we'll keep it a secret. Thank you guys.
Thanks
for
guys.
doing this. We really appreciate the tour.
Okay.
So, David, I know you always wanted to be a fireman.
We were going to finish up our conversation in the museum, and we got 10 feet.
And we got 10 feet.
Because this is your rig right here, isn't it?
Listen, I love this. This is like, I would literally buy one just to have it around.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's just, I think when I go through this museum, I think about, and I know it has cars from other places, but I think about America.
Yeah.
And how classic, good prop, David. How classic, America is, and hopefully, Lord willing, stays, but America was, creative, innovative. If somebody said it's impossible, we figured out a way to make it possible.
For sure.
Even today, as we were talking to Jim, and Jim is telling us about the parts that he can still order, but then there are some that you got to go get it done at a machine shop or have it made, but that doesn't stop you. It's not like, well, we can't get parts for this, what it is. You figure out a way to do it.
Yep.
So, and that leads me to, David, I know that you're part of eBliss as well. What makes eBliss so special? Like, as we walk around and see these special cars, there is something in the air, and I know it's an eBliss event, and we're launching the Always brand to dealers, but there is something special on those bikes, even when people try them,
Right.
and they get off. There's something special.
Well, I think it's a lot of things, Arnold. I think that, obviously we're a business and we're trying to make some money, right? We're trying to sell some bikes, but I think we're also just trying to change sort of people's attitude towards transportation. And, bikes have been around, e-bikes have been around, but we're really trying to come at this from a different, perspective. You and I have been in this business a long time, and what's going on right now in the world and in the industry as it pertains to electric vehicles is interesting. And I use that word because I want this to remain PG, right? I think it's nuts what's going on, quite frankly, right now with EV vehicles being mandated. I think we're rushing to market. You and I've had this conversation, right? The infrastructure's not there. There's all kinds of stuff.
People aren't buying.
We got electric vehicles piling up on dealers' lots, and that's not good for the dealers, obviously. anytime we start to mandate this kind of stuff through the government, I think it's a bad thing for any
Instead of letting the market dictate.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of letting the market dictate, and we can get that big chunk of all those millions of rides that are less than a mile or less than 2 miles, less than 3 miles every day. If we can get people to think about transportation from a different perspective.
And I think we've said this in every podcast of everybody that we've interviewed, right? So EV vehicles, delicate matter, pushed by the government, pushed by the media. Nobody's buying into it. The infrastructure isn't there. And you can talk to 100 people and they're all going to give you their why that's not good, right? And obviously, I'm in, chemical business, right? So I'm going to be biased on it as well. But it's not happening. The numbers aren't there. It's not happening. The infrastructure isn't there. Regardless of what we think, it's just not being purchased. And half of the vehicles are being purchased in California. The rest of the 49 states aren't. And so if you talk to a guy that has a big F-150 truck or just bought a Bronco truck, he's probably like, no, man, I'm not going to buy an EV vehicle ever. I like my power, etc., blah, 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 blah. But when you talk about EV bikes, when you talk about doing something in some way, even those guys with the big F-150s and the Bronco trucks are like, oh, yeah, I'll do an EV bike.
Well,
there's no barrier on that one. Nobody puts a wall up on that.
There isn't, because the infrastructure is there. You can charge it in your wall outlet at home. I mean, but the other thing is that it's not, it doesn't dictate that I change my life in major ways, other than, like we said, that last mile. I come all the way down here. Like, you and I have known each other a long time. I travel a lot with my career. First time in probably 10 years, I forgot to pack something. I showed up here and didn't bring a belt for my pants. I went to the event last night, everything I could do to make sure my pants didn't fall down. That would have been very bad.
I was thinking you forgot underwear.
No, it was a belt. So before dinner last night, I hopped on Amazon. I bought a belt, and by the time I got back after dinner to the hotel, it was sitting at the lobby of the hotel. So I have a belt on now.
Yes.
Just to make sure you're okay, because we're sitting kind of close.
I know. So I'm glad you're wearing a belt.
I'm wearing a belt right now.
Hey, why did you guys decide? And again, this is going to be my little commercial, but why did you guys decide to use Petra as your logistic arm?
I mean, I think it was. I know Bill probably said it was because of you, and that's a big part of it. You and I have been friends for a long time, and obviously you run a great business. But I'm going to give you a bit of a different answer. I've gotten to know, because I've gotten to know you over the years. I've gotten to know a lot of your distributors, and they're the class of the industry. And when we sat down to figure out how we were going to take this to dealers, one of the things that Bill and I said was, we got to find a partner. We certainly don't want to try and do that ourselves. It doesn't make any sense to reinvent that wheel. And we said we got to find a partner that will represent us well, right? Because even though they don't work for us directly, they're going to be sort of carrying the eBliss flag when they're in there, and the Always flag when they're in there. And when Bill and I sat down and had the conversation, we were getting ready to go to the last bourbon event, and I said to Bill, I got the company. That was a concern that he had. I said, no, I got the company. I got the guy. And it is, there's lots of companies that are out there that have a lot of footprint like you do, some of your competitors. And the difference between your business and those other companies is the family that you've created, and your distributors are an extension of you. You're, a great stand-up guy, and they're a great stand-up bunch of guys and gals that are out doing the work for you. And from my perspective, I knew we could trust that they would represent us well in the marketplace. The men and women that you got out there calling on, what was it, 5,000 or more plus dealers now every day, and delivering your products. It was a no-brainer, because we knew we needed to find somebody that we could trust, right? That even though they may not be wearing the eBliss shirt when they're there, they're gonna act as if they were, on our payroll.
Yeah, they're gonna be proud of what they do.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest reason, right? And there's a lot of companies that we could have outsourced this to, but we don't know them people. We don't know the companies in many cases. And as I said to Bill, I said, you and I've got a long personal relationship. I said, not only do I know Arnold, but I know a lot of his distributors, and I know we could trust them. So it was all really about trust, and knowing that we could trust you guys to do the right thing for us.
I don't know if that was our cue to stop the horn. What was that? Well, look, we appreciate We think the Always Bikes is going to be incredible. You and I have had the opportunity to talk to many dealership in different events that we have been. The excitement is there, and we appreciate you at Petra giving us a chance. We do have, I think, in my opinion, the best distributors. I don't think they are, and our OE partners and national accounts all rate them high. These guys know what they do. They're good at it. They're proud of it. They care, and they will carry that on as well as they work with.
You and I have been dealer guys for a long time, right? I mean, I've been at this 31 years working with dealers. Bill likes to say that I've sold something to every dealer in the country over the last 31 years. That's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but not much. As you know, I've been involved with 4 different very large companies that had big footprints with dealers. And, when Bill first approached me about coming and joining him at eBliss, listen, I think the bikes are cool. Like I've got 3 of them now. So I love the bikes. But for me, if it wasn't for the fact that the decision was made to do this through dealers and with dealers, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Yeah.
I would have thought that's a neat idea. But I remember the first conversation he and I had, he said, do you think we can sell these through dealers? And I had one of those moments there where I thought, I wish I had thought of that idea before he did, right? Because to me, it's brilliant. And I think this is not only something that dealers need, but I think that the industry, and when I say the industry, I'm talking about the bike industry. I've got lots of friends that have bikes, whether it's e-bikes or regular bikes. And I visited, a bike shop, a bike store. And to say that it is mom and pop is an understatement. I mean, it's a small, in my opinion, very underserved industry that's not very professional. And if e-bikes are going to become more mainstream, which I believe they will, they need a distribution network that's going to elevate what they do, right? And that's one of the reasons why I got so excited about this, because I think dealers will do that. I talked to a guy today that came. It was so funny. He came in the morning and he rode a bunch of bikes, and then he left. I saw him leave with his girlfriend, and he came back and he rode bikes again in the afternoon. And I was talking to him before he left, and he said, I have been thinking about buying one of these now for 2 years. And he said, I keep looking at them on Amazon. I've been to a ton of different websites. So my biggest problem is, he said, until I got a chance to ride one, I wasn't sure what to buy. And he said, it's confusing. There's a lot of clutter in that marketplace right now. And I think consumers are confused by it. These are not, the good ones, as are not, $100 bikes. These are $3,000, $4,000 bikes, which is a fairly major decision for people. And I think the dealers are going to help bring legitimacy to that market, right? Because that's what...
And be able to say, right? I always tell people, if you put 3 bottles on a shelf, there's nobody there to explain the difference.
Right.
People will typically just tend to go to the cheapest,
right?
Not knowing that there's better alternatives, and there's a reason why there's a number there. There's a value to it.
Right.
That's why the dealer is so important, because you will have somebody that can explain to the consumer the difference between that cheap bike you saw online and a high-class, professionally made, top-of-the-line bike like you guys are building.
Absolutely. Listen, when you think dealers, right, you think transportation, what do you think? You think car dealers. And this is the value that I believe that the dealers are going to provide to the e-bike world that they don't have today. E-bikes, I don't know if you know this statistic, but more e-bikes were sold last year, and same this year. There'll be more e-bikes sold in this country than there are EV vehicles. So it could be triple that, in my opinion, if there was some structure and some legitimacy to the distribution network, right? The fact that the where you can buy most of these bikes is just this sort of marketplace of uncertainty that a lot of consumers look at this and say, okay, I'm going to plunk down $2,000, $3,000 on an e-bike I'm buying on Amazon. How do I know if it's any good? Do I know if it's going to last?
Who am I going to talk to?
Who am I going to talk to if it's not any good? What if I get here and it comes in a box, I don't know how to put it together, right? And that's why, this vision that we have of making great bikes, your great people, taking them to dealers and assembling for them so that the consumer doesn't have to mess with that. I mean, imagine buying a bike on Amazon and having it show up in a box,
yeah,
right? I mean, they're not impossible to put together, right? Some of the guys that work here in this museum can put it together, but the average consumer, the average consumer can't put them together with any certainty. And if you don't do it right, guess what happens? Wheels fall off, right? And people get hurt, right? So, we want to be able to white glove these things. We want to take them to dealers. We want to have your guys deliver them to dealers, set them up, and then have dealers explain the value proposition of why this e-bike is worth $3,000 or $4,000. The value you get, our belt drives, our CVT transmissions, all the stuff that we've been talking about all day that the consumers seem to really gravitate to. Those are real big value adds, right? Fluid hydraulic driven brakes, right? That's something you don't see on most bikes, right? The belt drives, again, you don't see that on no derailleurs because of the way our transmissions work. These are things that have huge value for the consumer, but the average consumer doesn't understand that value unless there's a product expert to help explain
that shows them how to do it. Right.
And that's what we think the dealers are going to provide. So,
for sure.
So as I said, if Bill said, hey, we're just going to, we're going to sell some bikes online, I would have passed because, I've got lots of stuff I'm doing, as you know. But when he said we're going to do this through dealers, I got psyched because I believe the dealers need this because they need the diversification. I think they need other things to sell. But I think that the industry as a whole, if e-bikes are going to take off, e-bikes need the dealers as much as the dealers need e-bikes.
100% agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah. Well, David, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. This is fun doing it with you.
Now, here's the problem.
What? How do we get out?
How are we getting out of here?
Well, you got to go first because I'm going to slide that way.
I actually think we got to get out at the same time. Otherwise, I'm afraid it might roll over.
No, it's not going to roll over.
Thank you for listening to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, your main source for all things good and fun, business, food, and cars. If you like this episode, make sure to rate us and subscribe. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please leave a message at the link below. Till next time, happy eating!